Welcome. Look, you're listening because you're already playing at a high level. You've likely got a strong handle on several parts of what makes knowledge professionals successful, especially within this 5 Ps framework we talk about.
Right. Pitch, publish, product, profile, partnership.
Exactly. So this deep dive, it's specifically for you, someone who's probably already strong in, say, at least 3 of those areas. We want to focus this conversation to help you amplify the impact you're already making.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're using Endota Intellini's 5Ps Implementation Mastermind workbook as our guide here. But for you, it's less about introducing the basics. It's more of a strategic tool. It's actually the core of a masterclass designed to take that expertise you already have and really accelerate its reach, its effectiveness.
So we're not starting at square one. We're looking at how this proven system can fine-tune what you're doing well, maybe even unlock some growth areas you haven't fully considered yet.
Basically.
Our goal today really isn't to rehash things you already know. It's about exploring the specific value this framework, and especially this very practical workbook, offers someone with your kind of track record.
Finding those little tweaks, maybe. Those accelerants that can push your journey even further.
Exactly. Uncovering those nuanced insights.
And it's worth remembering, this 5Ps Implementation Mastermind, it was made for people in Endota Intellini's 6-week masterclass.
Ah, okay. So it's intensive.
Very. It's practical, hands-on, really built for people focused on getting tangible results.
Okay, so given that our listener is likely strong in maybe 3 of the 5 Ps, they're probably seeing good results there already, right? Maybe their pitch is fantastic, or they're great at publishing content.
Or they have solid products, maybe a really strong profile that just attracts people.
Yeah. So what's the value add then? Where does the framework come in for them?
What's really interesting is taking those existing strengths, the things you already do well, and looking at them through the structured lens of the whole 5Ps system. It's less about fixing big weaknesses, perhaps, and more about seeing how everything connects, how each P can amplify the others.
Like optimizing an engine that's already running pretty well.
Exactly. Getting more power, more efficiency out of the whole system.
Okay, let's unpack that a bit. So this isn't about finding fault. It's more like leveraging this structure, this global framework, to get a fresh perspective on skills you already have.
Right. Maybe your publishing is top-notch. How could that become even more powerful if it was really tightly aligned with, say, a super refined pitch and some new product ideas?
Ah, I see. Finding synergies.
Precisely. The systematic approach can show you those connections you might miss otherwise. You could be brilliant in one area, but the framework might highlight how a small shift or a focused push in another P could give you a massive boost, a multiplier effect.
So even with that strong foundation you have, this system, especially with the workbook's practical side, brings maybe more clarity, more strategic direction.
Yes, absolutely. Moving maybe from intuitive success, which you clearly have, towards something more intentional, more scalable.
And you mentioned the workbook is a step-by-step implementation companion.
Yeah, that's key for someone at your level. It's not just high-level theory. It's packed with tools, exercises, designed to translate your success into a strategy that covers all 5 bases cohesively.
Makes sense. And the masterclass itself, how does that structure work with the workbook?
Well, it's built week by week, usually focusing on 1 or 2 Ps at a time. You start with an assessment,
Okay.
then strategy development for that P, and then these implementation exercises from the workbook. They build on each other.
So the workbook really guides that process.
It does. It gives you the structure, the space for that focused thinking and planning that, honestly, even really experienced people find super valuable.
And there are live sessions, too.
Yeah, live Zoom calls, which are great for troubleshooting tricky, high-level challenges, bouncing advanced ideas off other driven people, and getting direct input from Endota.
Okay. So even if you're competent, there's likely still untapped potential within the 5 Ps, just because they're all interconnected.
Almost certainly. It's about finding where that potential lies for you and strategically going after it.
Right. You mentioned an example in the workbook, Tandi.
Ah, yes, Tandi, the pastor who was moving into online relationship counseling.
Okay.
So she had experience, a local reputation, right?
Yeah.
But she needed to build out her online side. And her example really shows how the 5 Ps apply no matter your field. Consultant, coach, therapist, advisor.
It's universal for knowledge professionals.
Exactly. Packaging and scaling expertise.
So for Tandi, what were her focus areas?
Well, despite her credibility, she saw needs around pitching her new online services effectively, publishing digital content consistently, developing scalable products, and building partnerships online.
And the framework helped her prioritize.
Yes, that's the key insight. It helped her see that her priority needed to be product creating those online offerings for scalability. That's a diagnostic power. Even if you're experienced, it helps find the highest leverage point right now.
Okay, so it helps diagnose where to put your energy for the biggest return.
Precisely. Which leads into the first worksheet, 1.1, the self-assessment.
The scorecard, right.
Or
1 to 10 on different aspects of each P.
Yeah. Now, for you listening, this probably isn't about finding glaring 2s or 3s. It might be more about identifying those 9s and 10s, areas of excellence.
And thinking how to leverage those even more.
Exactly. How can you double down on that strength, apply it across the other Ps? But also,
It might reveal blind spots.
it could, or just areas where, marginal gains could really add up, a 7 that could become an 8 or 9 with focused effort.
Yeah.
It prompts that kind of nuanced look.
And there's a reflection question, too.
Yes. Which area needs the most urgent attention? Why? But for you, maybe we tweak that.
Like, which area, if I focused on it, would unlock my next level of impact?
Perfect, yeah.
Yeah.
Identifying that highest leverage point for your specific situation.
Okay, that makes sense. Then worksheet 1.2 is about the starting point story.
Right. It asks you to articulate your expertise, ideal audience, the problems you solve, what makes your approach unique, your business goals, and any obstacles right now.
Now, for someone already successful, this isn't like writing their first elevator pitch.
No, not at all. It's about mapping your existing success story onto the 5 Ps structure. Consciously thinking about your strengths, your current reality, through these 5 lenses, you might actually see things differently, find new connections.
Like Tondi defining her counseling niche, her audience, her methods.
Exactly. She articulated her starting point very clearly. Even if you feel you know yours inside out, going through this structured process within the 5 Ps framework can bring just renewed clarity, seeing the building blocks.
Okay. Then worksheet 1.3 moves into goal setting, 6-week goals for each P.
Yep, super concrete. For each P, what's the 6-week goal? What does success look like? And crucially, what's the very first action step?
That first action step seems key.
It really is. It forces you to move from thinking to doing immediately. Even if you're great at goals, this ensures you're applying that focus across all 5 areas strategically. Nothing gets left behind by accident.
And Tendi's examples, like clarifying her pitch or outlining course modules, they're very actionable.
Totally. It tries concrete steps. For a high performer, it might be about refining focus, ensuring all actions are really aligned across the piece for that accelerated growth, intentionality at a deeper level.
Got it. Then 1.4 is about resources.
Yeah, leveraging existing resources. It's an inventory, skills, tools, network, content you already have, financial resources, and it includes planning weekly time blocking.
Okay, so for someone listening who probably has lots of resources already.
Right. The value is consciously mapping those assets onto the 5 Ps. You might realize, oh, I have this piece of content that could totally become a small product, or this person in my network could be a key partner. It reveals underutilized assets.
Seeing your resources through that strategic filter.
Exactly. Tondi listed her counseling skills, basic tech, local network. It's about knowing what you have to work with, even if it's already substantial, and seeing new ways to deploy it based on the 5 Ps.
Maybe a strong network connection could boost your profile, or a skill could become a new product.
Precisely those kinds of connections.
Okay, and all this leads up to preparing for the first live Zoom session in week 1.
It does. The workbook prompts reflection on the assessment, your priority area, potential challenges, and any questions you have for that group discussion.
And that peer discussion, even for seasoned pros, can be really valuable, can it?
Hugely. Getting fresh eyes on your strategy, hearing how others are tackling similar high-level challenges within the same framework, addressing those specific hurdles you anticipate, it's powerful.
So wrapping this up, it seems pretty clear that even if you're already operating at a really high level, this structured 5 Ps approach, especially via the workbook, still offers a lot.
Absolutely. Enhanced clarity is a big one. Seeing your strengths and potential growth spots in that interconnected way.
Identifying that untapped potential, maybe.
Definitely. And activating it strategically. It also pushes for more intentional resource allocation across all 5 areas, making sure everything's working together.
So it provides a kind of systematic roadmap for ongoing growth, even when you're already successful.
Yes. This dive into the workbook really just gives a taste of that strategic thinking and practical application. It's designed to empower knowledge pros at all levels, including those already hitting home runs.
So maybe a final thought for everyone listening. Think about your strengths across the 5 Ps, where you're already excelling. Now, what single focused effort in just one of the other areas might create the biggest jump, the most significant acceleration for your impact and your brand right now?
That's a great question to ponder. How can this framework help you unlock that specific next level you already have within you?